Howdy everyone, Pocho here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we're moving into the next round of the AI Championships. In this round we have Team 11, Poor Boy Markendel, going up against Team 7, Jazzy Eggs. Jazzy won the coin toss, I believe, so she chose for Markendel to go first. So we'll go into the bands. Up first we had a Tyros band from Markendel and the Troran band from Jazzy. Interesting bands. Tyros, I don't think there's ever been a match where Tyros has been left on the board. He's been banned, and he's normally one of the first banned. No one wants to risk him being picked by the opponent. And Troran, honestly, the Troran ban baffles me every time. If you can get dwarves with him, maybe, but as a single character, I don't see him as a massive threat, especially with the not a lot of healing happening in these battles. So, but still a ban nonetheless. Next up, we have the Silver Moon and a Zariel ban in vulnerability. No, not in immortality. The buff to negate death is removed from the board completely with those two heroes. Honestly, if anyone got one of those heroes, it's a pretty strong pick for that player. So pretty safe bans there. And then the Abaddon and Soothsayer. The Abaddon, yeah, okay, I get, especially when there's a succubus on the field, you could probably get a bit of threat on your opponent with those two characters. But again, he's like Troran, and I feel like you definitely need some backup heroes for those characters, those leadership abilities. And the Soothsayer, it's Soothsayer. She's either going to flop or do awesome for you. I think we've seen both cases in the tournament so far, with Soothsayer does very little, and where we've seen her do a lot. So it's a safe ban as well. Going into the first picks, Markendel started off with Sweet Voice. His reasoning for Sweet Voice was because it pretty much won him his first battle, Sweet Voice, surprisingly. So I think he's picked her out of sentimental sake. Will it cost him? We'll find out. And on the return, we have the Rock and Gasser from Jazzy. The Rock, a solid choice. The Gasser, a questionable choice. A definite questionable choice, especially when there are some very decent characters on the field. I mean, we've still got Karana, we've got Succubus, we've got Siegfried. I know Siegfried isn't the best, but I mean, having a character that can take those first few hits, if they do not have a character that can remove Taunt, is a pretty strong pick. So Gasser, interesting. Moving on, we've got the Succubus and Arakan Shadow from Markendel hitting very hard. Very strong team for Markendel to start off with. We've got Confusion from Sweet Voice. We've got Silences from Succubus. We've got Accuracy Decrease from Shadow. And Jazzy returns with the Lael and the Tahit. They're both alright damage dealers. Lael does benefit off Gasser, I believe. When Gasser hides, Lael does get a bit more of a damage boost. So if that was Jazzy's plan, I understand it. Lael, a bit of extra damage could make all the difference. We have seen teams where single target damage overrides, just dominates. So yeah, Tahit, interesting choice as well. Markendel going in the next picks with Idril and Siegfried, and then the Arakan Spear on Jazzy's team. The Tahit is, the Siegfried, interesting choice, especially with the Tahit. Pretty sure Tahit can remove a buff, so it has the potential to remove the Taunt. And then we have the Idril. Markendel's team is buffed to the absolute brim with debuffs. He will swamp debuffs on his opponent, Jazzy. There's no stopping it. And then the Arakan Spear, an okay pick, I guess. If he can go into his stance, he has 100% Fortify, so that's a lot of negation from debuffs if he gets into that mode. And then the subs, we have the Karana and then the Jag from Jazzy. So Karana, good sub. Absolutely a good sub if you need a little bit more healing on your team, especially with the Siegfried. That's a solid combo. The Jag, Jazzy's gone for a rock control and just pure damage. So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams play out. Anyway, we'll jump into the arena and see which person is making it through and which one is going to be eliminated. Going into battle, and Tahit instantly takes the taunt off Siegfried as a few debuffs coming out from Markendel. Jazzy really needs to take out some damage dealers on Markendel's team. The Succubus and the Arrogant Shadow in the back are going to do a lot of damage if he cannot take out... If Jazzy cannot take out those characters. A lot of damage coming out on Rock. He is locked down at the moment. So is Tahit. Big whip from Succubus there. Bit of damage coming out. A lot of damage being split on Jazzy's team, but Jazzy still yet to do a lot of damage in return. There comes out the freeze, not hitting a lot of targets. The Succubus locked down, which is good, but Rock does fall. If they can take out the Idril, they might have... Nope, they decide to go for the Shadow for some reason. There we go. Idril falls, a 4v4 situation, but Jazzy in a worse situation at the moment as the silence comes out, landing on 3 targets, locking down 3 targets as Lael finally falls down to a 4v3 situation with Markendel taking the lead. If the Tahit dies, which he does, Markendel in a pretty strong position. I don't think Jazzy can come back from this point as the taunt comes out from Siegfried, and that is going to be a lot of damage mitigated. There's nothing Jazzy can do at this point, as Gasser will bypass the taunt from Siegfried, but split damage is not a good thing. Arrogant Spear throws, Gasser left, and he finally falls, giving the first point to Markendel. We'll take the battle over to the contenders. They'll decide what they want to do, and we'll move on to match number 2. Going into the second battle, and Jazzy has taken out Lael and put in Jag, so she has a full damage team. Tahit getting rid of the taunt, which is awesome for Jazzy. Jazzy needs to do more damage on the enemy damage dealers, though. She needs to take out... There's just so much coming out from Markendel's team. It's insane, the amount of debuffs that Jazzy has to put up with. And the Rock very close to dying. AoE comes out from Rock. And Jazzy has done almost 0 damage to Markendel's team while she's already lost 2 characters. Markendel taking a huge lead. The silence now coming out, taking out 3 heroes. No, misses the Arrogant Spear. I think that's because of his Fortify. I do believe he gets Fortify. It's been so long since any player ever in the history of the game has used Arrogant Spear. So God knows what he does. Markendel's whip coming out now. The debuff still being applied. The taunt now comes out from Sigrid, pretty much guaranteeing the win for Markendel. There's not much these 2 characters can do now as Arrogant Spear is slowly dwindling away. The Gasser can avoid the taunt. It's irrelevant to him, but it's not going to make any difference as Jazzy's team gets eliminated with a 5-man domination. Markendel not losing a single hero. Jazzy unfortunately eliminated from the competition. We are going to go and have a look at the leaderboards now, see what is happening and where everyone sits. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jazzy Eggs moving forward. Unfortunately, she was not able to make it through. The Queen of the Eggs herself, some of us, including myself, had such high hopes for her. I really thought she was going to push pretty far into this. But that's just the way it is. You've got a 50-50 chance of winning these battles, and unfortunately, her chances ran out. Markendel moving forward. So we have 2 competitors now in the quarterfinals, Markendel and Emily. So the competition is thinning out. Markendel's opponent's still yet to be picked. Moving forward, Markendel wanted me to mention someone very close to him that unfortunately passed away, Kip. He was pretty big in a different game from Age of Magic, but it's gaming all the same. I don't think people really realize how important gaming is to a lot of people. It's not just gaming. We play a lot of interactive games, we meet a lot of people, and these people do become important to us. So for all those out there that knew Kip, I am sorry for your loss. Hopefully he is remembered for a long time through you all. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And wherever you're on the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.